In general, video games, especially card games, are a constant cycle of optimal strategy gets discovered, optimal strategy gets used, optimal strategy gets complained about, optimal strategy gets countered, and then it becomes obsolete or it changes, and then people begin to try a new strategy, and that becomes the new meta, right? So that's the cycle we're currently in. Yo, what's up guys? It is Lost Griff. Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be more of a commentary style video like my last one. Today's video is just going to be talking about PvE strats and their place in the Wizard101 PvP meta. And I think there's a big dialogue that needs to happen about it because there's a lot of people that are against it, a lot of people that like it, and everybody has their own opinion on it. My biggest thing is just seeing, you know, who else agrees with me, because I really do think if I get my opinion out there, I wouldn't be in the minority saying this. But here we go. I think personally the PvE meta or the PvE builds that we're seeing are personally not bad for the PvP overall state of the game, right? So let's just get that out of the way. That's like my main claim. So here's the reason why. Is because honestly PvE strats are easily counterable on almost all schools, right? The first thing that comes to mind is HK's video on it. I mean, he wasn't like the first one to come up with scales, like using scales, but he definitely was one of the main people that has recently raised awareness about it and made a lot less myth trapstacks Q. Because the reality is, like, trapstack and one-shot strats are typically beatable, you know? With enough focus and minimal error, you can usually beat them, at least at a consistent rate. And if you can create a good strategy against them, you can win a lot of your games. So that's why, like, I'm not too worried about the PvE strategies. Let me show you guys what I mean, right? So let's say I go on my death right now, which is the next character I plan to queue in this meta, right? So I look at my death PvP deck setup. This is currently what I have in my main, right? I'm working on like perfecting it and stuff, but like this is what I have right now. And I have 7 trap counters. And now you might think, but Griff, that's like way too many trap counters, bro. Like that's like entirely your deck. Well, yeah, but like, you know what else was entirely people's deck last meta, bro? Set shields, dude. This, instead of writing the scales, let's say life and death was broken, this would be my deck instead. Like, dude, what's the difference? In fact, writing the scales is at least different because there's multiple different scenarios and matchups in which you can use it. But set shields were literally just there to cycle your deck and to counter people who were playing the meta schools, right? So that's a big difference. It's like, now it's gone from set shields, which is what used to carry a lot of people's deck, to now Rochambeaus. But the thing about Rochambeaus is that they're actually unique and require at least a little bit of skill to plan and, you know, like create value out of, you know, because there's like schools like Death who used to have literally no utility, right? Let's be real. So Death before this like update had pretty much nothing utility wise, right? All they pretty much had was V-Plague, Winged Sorrow, like for the weakness, technically you could call that utility. And they had like, I guess, drains, but that's probably not even its own thing, you know? So I personally think PvE strats are super counterable, and while I do lose to them sometimes, like generally I win to them more than I lose to them. Now that I've started using writing the scales. So I think there's just a lot of people who refuse to use Rochambeaus. And if you're one of those people, I highly recommend you go check out one of my previous videos, why Rochambeaus is good for PvP. Because the truth is that Rochambeaus, while having their own flaws and stuff and not being perfectly balanced yet, I think they've made a great chance for PvP to flourish, considering the creativity that some of them create in deck setups, you know? Because there's a lot of people who may or may not use certain Rochambeaus for it not fitting their strategy, and some people that may fit, like, use their Rochambeaus, and you have to call people out and see what they're using. So I think Rochambeaus, while again being flawed and some people don't like them, I think some people have to realize that it's the right direction for PvP. And I think with the right balance changes and the right like guiding, easily it could be one of the best changes and new spells added to the recent flurry of updates these past few years in PvP. A real quick counterclaim I want to address, and one thing I will admit has its flaws, is low-level PvP. Low-level PvP has been affected, I've heard, negatively by Rochambeaus. And to be fair, I know that's not their intention. Like, I know they're mostly focusing on max PvP, but I would like to see them make sure the Rochambeaus are balanced at lower levels as well. So I do want to address that before anybody else mentions that. But I do agree that it definitely should be monitored on what Rochambeaus are available at specific levels. But yeah, like a good example is Liahm, right? So we know Liahm is a vibe. He's a content creator, a good friend of mine. And while I do respect the man as a person a lot, I don't think his PvP opinions sometimes are always right. I think that PvE strategies and the presence of them, while annoying on paper, are essentially what makes a meta, right? A meta is made, and trust me, bro. Right. Like this may sound dumb, but I've played plenty of competitive games, right? I know exactly what a full blown meta looks like. I know what like may seem ridiculous or OP at one time, and how it shifts immediately, even just at the touch of a balance change, right? So, for example, right, those of you who are big fans like Valorant out there, you guys remember how OP Sentinels used to be, like Cypher and stuff, and how strong he used to be, and how OP his old cams are, for example, right, if you're a Valorant player. But, you know, they nerfed him a little bit, they changed him, and it changed into an entirely different meta, with now controllers being used, you know, for a certain amount of time. And that just shows, like, metas change all the time, especially in card games. Oh my god, bro. Go look at, like, I don't know, Clash Royale. Go look at, like, Hearthstone. Go look at other different card games. Dude, metas shift constantly. Constantly, bro. Right? So, when you're in a game with 7 schools, all with different HP and different stats, all with different spells, all with different options to play the game, you're going to see a constantly shifting meta that is only reliant on its own players to make use of it, right? So, if you're not able to shift with the meta, then quit. Because the truth is that while the players are scarce, the only people that are going to want to stick around are the ones who are able to play and adapt to certain metas, regardless of how it works, right? So, don't get me wrong, there are some metas that I legit could not play in out of pure frustration. For example, that was the Maycast meta for me. But I believe that Rochambeau creates so many options and diversity to where now, through any meta we may deal with now, I feel like there will be always an option or a certain strategy people can use that will be able to counter the quote-unquote optimal strategy, right? And one more final point I want to address is the current rising of the double blade Scion strategy for Storm. I do think that PvE strategy is actually overpowered, and many people agree with me on that. I'm not just the only one. I do believe the double blade PvE Storm strategy with blade or with Scion is a little bit overpowered. I do think blade gambits are somewhat balanced, but at the same time, they can be a little bit out of hand if they aren't handled correctly. Like Storm Scion is not working as intended. I remember in one of Rapid's streams he announced that the new Scion was supposed to get rid of your blades first and then hit, but it seems like that was never changed. So right now you can basically have a double buffed Scion on a Storm with 130 damage and kill anybody in one hit, which is kind of ridiculous, right? So I do think that there is some spells that need adjusted. And is Rochambeau kind of buggy, and is Rochambeau kind of broken at times? Yeah, sure. But you have to understand there are benefits to it, and I have seen a lot of positive changes for PvP. A lot of more unique strategies coming out. A lot more people in the lower ranks trying new stuff. And overall, just unique gameplay. So, for Wiz, because there's a lot of people who, you know, don't change up their deck setups and kind of just be like, bro, this is broken, you know? And it's hard to discern what's broken and what's actually balanced, because there's people that are constantly complaining about whether it's broken or whether it's counterable, right? But I believe a PvE trapstack strategies like Fire Trapstack with Trapstack are easily counterable by reading the scales, especially on schools like Fire or Storm. Of course, on Fire you can use Meltdown instead. But overall, man, that's my opinion. I know I kind of went on a ramble at the end there, but I really do feel like people are complaining unnecessarily about Rochambeau. And I do think it's about time that we finally put our foot down about it and kind of express the reason why Rochambeau is not too OP. Thank you guys so much for coming by the video. Appreciate it. Let me know your opinions down in the comments. I've been saying this for a long time, and this is genuinely my opinion on Rochambeau. So go ahead and DM me on Discord or comment on this video, whatever. State your opinion. But yeah, I'd appreciate it if you guys would support this video and get it out there. But yeah, thank you guys so much.